Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we've got a good full house today. Welcome, gentlemen. Council is rolling deep today. That's nice. We got the Venezuelan screw job, and Hezbollah's begging for it. This is on the Council on Future Conflicts episode number 402. I we were just talking before the show started, and I just thought that this tweet that I shared our X broadcast, I thought it was appropriate here. Watcher, we're doing it live. Sorry. Anyway, gentlemen, welcome. Glad you guys all could be here. I just want to say real quick before we go into introductions, all super chats today will go towards the charity or the foundation to destroy my liver over the next week. Just wanted to let you know that if you throw a super chat out there today, it will be drank in liquid form over the next couple days. Joe, I did get the soju. I got 4 different types of soju for you to enjoy. My wife tells me they're all good. She says don't drink them straight. They're all best when mixed either with beer or juice. So we'll probably have to challenge that.
There was a fantastic liquor store story that you're going to have to hear about in person that involved me and Hunch at the liquor store. But it was pretty fantastic. But for Limey in the chat, who donated a very specific dollar amount for that purpose, you need to be happy to know we spent exactly that amount picking up some Montana bourbon and some other stuff, some other local ones. So good stuff. We've been having a great time here. We had a fantastic class out here this weekend. Good bunch of guys. We sat up late into the night having some deep philosophical conversations, including last night. We were interrupted by a mountain lion last night, which was actually pretty cool. I may have some pretty good video of it on my thermal. So it's been pretty great. It's just a fantastic setting. A lot of good things going on. But I have a big request. If you are coming, you need to register so that we know how many people are coming. And we really need to know that. By the way, if you plan on staying here, either in a tent or an RV or any of the other options that are available, you need to register for that. Otherwise, you may get here and there not be any room. So go to the site. I think Scott, you have the link ready to drop. Shield Field Days. They have it. The site is up. There's a link there to register for reservations at the property. All kinds of stuff.
Dropping that link here in the chat so you guys can go check that out. It's going to be a great time, guys. You don't want to miss it. And you definitely want to register ahead of time if you're coming out. I understand a lot of you can't make it, but we appreciate those that can. And trust me, you're going to have a great time. W Daisy Girl Williams in the chat. Thank you very much for dropping that link. So for the August meetup, it's going to be a lot of fun. And it'll be nice to see people in person. Speaking of people we won't be seeing in person, Pete, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself? I just been kind of going on a, Hell's March trying to find all the pit bull packs that are around the area. Not only because they destroyed my chickens, I think they killed 4 out of 9, so 5 of our chickens. But because now that they have tasted blood and they know where to come get it, there is a 3-year-old little girl and a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old here and a 5-year-old and a little girl and a 4-year-old little girl just up our driveway. So those animals need to be taken care of quick, fast, and in a hurry.
What? Yeah, that's so how many chickens you got left?
4. So they're all the chicklins, so they're all the children. It looks like he chased after, or the rooster did his job, protect his mate and so forth. He killed him first and then got after the hen and another one of their babies. So, yeah.
That sucks.
I was playing a little CSI in the grass. But in my walking around my land, I did find out that there may be a spring on my property, so that's gonna be good.
Yeah, that's encouraging. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You just gotta, a lot of times those springs get buried and they just
or they get dried up during seasons and stuff like that. So yeah. Besides that, I got a follow up to an interview and then a couple of job related conversations this week. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, glad you can be here, brother. It's always good to have you. Sean, how are you doing?
Well, just a quiet morning. Kids ate their breakfast and are just kind of hanging out, and I'm here to talk with you guys about the state of the state of all of the things, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot out there to talk about. I see what you're pulling up there, Watcher. That's definitely something. It could be an interesting first odds and ends. Probably could be an entire show dedicated to that topic, but we're relegating it to the odds and ends. We're trying to get away from some of this domestic crap we've been focused on so much lately. I feel like we're getting into a dead period. Where like the stuff with the Olympics overshadowed it and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those kind of things. I want to get away from Kamala Harris and Donald Trump for a little while, get back to the rest of the world. So if you're curious about our content today, that's what we're trying to do. Watcher, how are you? I'm sorry, not Watcher. Ron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've had worse mix-ups. Yeah, it's like a blind date. Oh, not you, the other one.
Yeah. Well, so any Palestinian supporters are rolling up on your on your ranch there in South Dakota?
Yeah, no, we're getting ready for Sturgis, and it's going to be a rocking good time. We had a hellacious hailstorm blow through here yesterday, with golf ball size hail. So a lot of fun. Picking up a lot of sheared branches off of trees. So it was pretty intense. That stuff comes down hard. A lot of windshield repair is going to be happening.
That reminds me. We had a storm here the other day, and it took out power for several days. So when the guys got here, and the first day of class, we had no power. I'm like, we're doing this like it's a real world event, right? We have no power, nothing like that. So it gave a little realism to the class, but I blame Hunch for that storm because he texted me. He was on his way here, and he texted me and he goes, "Are you seeing the light show in the sky?" And I was like, "No, man, we're sitting out here on the deck having a whiskey and a cigar. It's crystal clear." 10 minutes later, the trees were sideways, the power was out, and it was wild. So
who?
Yeah, it's weather can be dramatic from time to time. Joe, we figured that if you're going to be without power, having Joe Jolio there's probably at least I'm going to have a battery backup that I'll be able to plug my phone into.
Nice.
Well, Sibley always likes it when he's there when there's no power.
Not that your phone will work for the next 30 miles.
Sibley won't come here. He doesn't get any cuddling.
But
yeah, he's afraid to cross the Mississippi because he'll.
Someone's getting a phone call right now.
Okay, maybe Sibley. And Watcher pulling up. Clean up. You're batting clean up today. How's the Dusty West treating you?
Good. I apologize. I was a little late this morning. I was up doing notes, and I didn't realize you weren't already flying here, Scott. So I really thought it was just going to be me, and then I kind of fell asleep on top of my phone while doing notes, and so I apparently triggered the shut up button when my alarms went off this morning. So yeah. But doing good, getting ready to head out that way. I will say that all the watchlings are incredibly excited. there's some of you guys they want to meet, but mostly they just think a week of camping is going to be an awful lot of fun. So
yeah, it's gonna be great just out there. You know, my kids were asking, like, they're like, what days is the meetup? And I was like, oh, it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And they're like, well, why are you going so early? And why aren't you coming home until so late? And I was like, well, because I need a vacation from you all.
Daddy needs a break.
Well, and then my youngest said, well, didn't you take a 9-month break from us while you were in Turkey? I was like,
I was working.
that wasn't exactly a break.
Yeah.
Not a place I was happy to be, but anyway.
So we're probably going to be heading up, I think, Wednesday night. So we will see. I think what you're getting there when, Scott? Thursday?
No, Tuesday evening. Tuesday evening is when I land, and then we'll get there at sometime later than that.
Okay, very cool. All right then. So
I'm told by Stan that it's a less than 3-hour drive from Missoula, but it's one of the most beautiful drives you ever make. So
No, it's way
very
less
nice.
than that. So
Yeah,
it's about an hour and a half.
all right.
So yeah,
Gentlemen,
man.
let's jump into the first odds and ends here today.
This is an impactful one.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is something that is ongoing. We talked a little bit about it last week, and I think a little more kind of info is coming out. Essentially, it all tracks. Hirsch reports Barack Obama threatened Biden with 25th Amendment removal. Investigative journalist Seymour Hirsch writes on his Substack an article outlining how his sources in Washington, D.C. and the White House have confirmed that to him that former President Barack Obama was the impetus to push Joe Biden out of the 2024 presidential race. Hirsch says President Obama was deeply involved with the alleged coup and called Joe Biden after his incident in Las Vegas, which from all outward appearances looks like a major slip and fall with a significant hit to the head. I went over reports this week with a senior official in Washington who helped me fashion an account of the White House in a complete disarray. Obama called Biden after breakfast on the 20th and said, here's the deal. We have Kamala's approval to invoke the 25th Amendment. A senior Washington official told Hirsch. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries were reportedly directly involved. Obama's plan was not to immediately endorse Kamala, but it was clear that she would get the nod. I don't think that's true at all. I think that they were going to do that. Obama wanted to push Kelly because a guy like Kelly might have a chance against Trump, but Obama had an agenda and he wanted to seek it through to the end, and he wanted to have control over who would be elected. Not only does this outline track with every data point known about the events leading up to Biden's announcement, it also aligns with the entire background on the Obama team operating inside the Biden administration. Guys, we've been saying for years that this is basically Obama 3.0. Mm-hmm. Clearly Biden has his people, but Obama has seeded the entire Democratic Party with his people after 8 years in the White House.
Yeah.
Pete, go ahead.
I don't know if my comment was just kicked off at the moment. But I've heard of I know there's a dark horse candidate called Michael. I don't know if anybody else is tracking that.
What are you talking about? Oh, big, yeah, gotcha. Big Mike.
Yeah, but no, it's really at the end of 2016. It all boils down to there was no logical successor, no young successor secretary for Obama. That's why Hillary ran, right? And that's thinking that Biden was kind of a dawdling fool, couldn't really carry on the legacy and so forth. So that's why they're in this mess that they're in, and it's a very sloppy transfer of power, you can say, from one generation to another. That's going to have long lasting effects.
Well, that's just it. Is it a transfer of power? I mean, is she now the acting president?
I'm not necessarily talking to her specifically. I'm talking about if you step back and say the generation, like Obama, that generation, like age wise and so forth, to
Yeah,
like the next generation. Yeah.
I get that, but I mean, it's interesting now. Kamala's tweeting out, that she's been briefed on the, Hezbollah, Lebanon, Israel thing. Blah, yeah, I mean, she's doing press releases and tweets,
Yeah.
like a president, like a commander in chief.
Someone
You
pointed
kind of
out,
wonder.
Yeah.
You
Someone
kind of
pointed out,
wonder.
like, there's no like Bernie, there's no one else, like everyone's got in line, and like people aren't suspicious of that.
Well, the truly interesting part is Obama very clearly didn't actually want Kamala, but Willie Brown and some of his friends in the old ground game proved that that first of all they didn't particularly like the Obamas that much, and that they can maneuver quicker than the Obamas think they can.
Yeah. So here's a bit of information that I've been kind of mulling over. Whatever your opinion is of the Civil Rights Act of 1965, part of its reasoning, part of the why it was drafted and passed in legislation was to rectify historical grievances for what is the term is adult descendants of slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, I mean, okay, that's what it was, right? The two presidents that we've had of color are not a part of that group. So you think about that?
They're on the other side of the equation, in fact.
Yeah, yes, I'm saying they would be considered post Hart-Celler. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah. Joe, thoughts on this?
I think that it's just one more indicator that Obama was 100% in charge. Obama gets to make the calls. He decides what happens. I don't think Joe has much decision-making ability in it as they want you to think. So,
yeah, I don't know that he ever had a whole lot of decision-making authority. Yeah. I think there were a lot of.
If you notice, the first thing that Biden has done this week is announce that he wants to push sweeping changes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
which he can't do. He can't legislate. He can't. It requires a constitutional amendment. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
He also asked for another constitutional amendment to overturn Trump's Supreme Court decision. That's not how that works. So
yeah.
Well, and to me, that proves how sad he has become, and just relatively a puppet. And that your true hour and your true anger should be directed to those around him. At least how I see it.
Yeah.
Always was.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those kind of things where I think this is an indicator of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and it's only going to get as we get closer. I think for the next week or so, as far as the outside indicators from the actual principals themselves, I think we're going to see less and less. But then all of a sudden it's going to explode out into the national stage again, because I think we're not done. I don't think Kamala is a done deal at this point. And I think there's machinations going on behind the scenes. I can't remember, somebody said before we started the show in the back room that evidently she's canceled all of her a lot of her speaking engagements, and basically she's kind of going radio silent over the next bit. Was that Pete? Was that you saying that?
No, I didn't say that. Sorry.
Or maybe it might have been Stan, because Stan was on before the show started, and he may be joining us here in a little bit. But I don't know if you guys heard anything about that.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah.
She definitely does need to keep her mouth shut, because she has atrocious speaking ability. Her sentences are not coherent. And it's not senility that is the reason. So it's possible. It's possible that the ground game folks can turn on her and realize what an idiot she is. And that'll be the interesting thing.
Yeah. And again, people complain that our choices were between two, almost octogenarians, right? And then in the middle of the night, this person was not winning winning a single delegate for presidency will become the president. Could become the president.
Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting that the media has suddenly totally forgotten all about. So, what is the state of Biden's health? And is he a functioning president? Is he able to do his job, or is it now been ceded over to a committee of staffers and with Kamala as the titular head? It'll just, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing that we've memory hold all that crap, and and we're supposed to go through, the next few months to January with Biden sort of like, I want ice cream, I want pudding.
Well, I'll tell you what I wish it could memory hole.
I know this next topic.
No,
oh my God,
no, actually, no. I was talking about this is the Karens for Kamala. Enjoy.
Is it
a few seconds?
Ariel Fodor, affectionately known as Mrs. Frazzle, to her combined audience of over 1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you.
I'm
my
sorry.
God.
Please send me that link. Please put the link somewhere so I can send it to my wife.
Is that like an OnlyFans audition tape?
Well, they are raising money there.
That lady was a kindergarten teacher, by the way.
I know. It comes across as one. That's the problem.
Homeschool your kids.
I'll be honest with you. If I could choose one thing to memorial, it would actually be the next thing versus the last thing. After failed 1984 style censorship, by the way, you guys all saw that all the copyright strikes and everything everybody was getting for posting clips from the opening ceremony of the Olympics. So on Saturday, the organizers of the Paris Olympics scrambled to pressure social media platforms such as X to censor users who mocked and criticized Friday night's shocking opening ceremony. The event, which featured drag queens, nudity, and scenes demeaned highly disrespectful to Christians, sparked outrage worldwide when the IOC social media 1984 style censorship efforts failed. The committee had no choice but to apologize for the drag queen parody of Jesus' Last Supper. I mean, they're saying, "Oh, well, this wasn't a Last Supper parody." No, it absolutely is. You can't.
It was
100% was.
It was, it was a tepid apology, and it's disgusting, and please, God damn it, I don't want to throw up my coffee, dude.
And lo, I beheld a pale horse.
A pale horse, and it wasn't a golden calf, it was this, it was that,
the golden calf, absolutely.
There was no reason for that. There's literally openly mocking Christianity.
Yeah. Now, and somebody tweeted, saying, "Yeah, I'll accept their apology as soon as I see them take a dump on the Quran, and then okay, now we're good." But it'll never happen.
The funny thing is, I've actually seen a couple of imams come out and go, "Bro, what the hell were you doing?"
Because remember, Christ was a prophet in their religion, and it's also technically what they did was also offensive to the Muslims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But gays for Gaza, dude. Gays for Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of keywords that I saw all over Twitter over the weekend was blasphemy, satanic, demonic, woke. Just all these kind of things that, and I don't think it's a stretch to see, right? Like,
Hey, meanwhile, they banned the Brazilian surfer for having the giant statue of Christ that his country's famous for on his surfboard. Yep, sorry, can't surf.
And some athlete, she was getting one of their medals. She signed language, about God is great, God is good, Christ is life, or I don't remember exactly, but I mean, she was sign languaging that. So it's like basically trying to give a finger to the Olympics.
Well, I mean, there's some brave people out there doing the right thing, but so let me just kind of continue on this story here. There was never an intention to show disrespect to a religious group, said the Paris spokesperson. to a religious group. No. It's to Christianity. You can just say it. It's to Christians, right? Because anyway, the spokesperson continued, if people had taken offense, of course, we are really sorry. Well, do you remember the old kind of adage that if you say, hey, I'm sorry if you were offended, you're not apologizing for the thing, you're apologizing. You stand by what you said. You just feel bad that somebody didn't like the way you said it.
I've got that video actually. Let me cue that up.
Hello.
This is I think this is probably their CEO.
This is literally it. This is the IOC CEO
of BP. Our accidental drilling spill again in the Gulf is a tragedy that should have never happened. And we're sorry.
Sorry.
We're sorry. We're sorry.
Oh yeah,
and that's
South
what
Park.
you get.
Yeah, the South Park, just denial of intent. It's not even an apology for content, right? Like we shouldn't have said it. Anyway, there's if we could watch a little bit of this tepid apology here, watcher. It's only a minute long.
Yeah, it's
never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. On the contrary.
Let's see. Why do we have the weird? Why do you have the normie out here doing the apology? Why don't we have the blue
Why don't we
man
have it,
or any of the drag queens out here
drag queen
doing the apology?
I think that Thomas Joly really tried to really intend to celebrate community tolerance. That was his word yesterday. And looking at the result of the polls that we shared, we believe that this ambition was achieved. If people have taken any offense, we are of course really, really sorry.
Ma volonté n'est pas d'être subversif, ni de me moquer, ni de.
Just the guy who created it.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Wait.
His entire intent is to be subversive, mock, and shock.
This is a French artist who doesn't intend to be subversive.
De choquer. Ma volonté est simplement de dire que nous sommes ce grand nous et que hier soir c'était des idées républicaines.
Pause it. I would have accepted if they did some sort of kind of harken back to the French Revolution, and all the kind of crypto communist, proto-communist ideas of the.
They did.
I would have accepted that. I would have accepted that more though than this.
But they did do that, and I also thought that was incredibly distasteful.
Oh, I didn't see any of that then.
You mean the beheaded Marie Antoinette singing in metal from a window before they went off on a long death metal thing where they
the Gojira thing? I didn't know what the reference was there.
Yeah, that was the beheaded Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, so this is what you get with woke artists. You get woke shit that is absolutely unwatchable. Let me see. Is there anything else in here?
We've got the French bishop blasting it. I thought that was the next.
Yeah. Well, and then by the way, you saw the guy's nutsack hanging out of his shorts on
directly
live
next to the child. Yes.
Exactly.
But it was interesting that Mitt Romney and Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, was there, and they both praised the opening ceremonies. I mean,
of course they did.
I mean, Mitt Romney, who can't be more out of touch with his Utah constituency, let alone the party that he supposedly led at one time. Oh my God! I still want my money back from donating to his political campaign. Yeah, it's just bad.
I've never been more relieved
that existence.
I've never been more relieved in my life that a candidate I voted for didn't win.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
before in my life.
Yeah, between him and McCain was like, oh, thank God.
Oh yeah. So French bishops blast Olympic mockery of Christianity. So this is good. At least the French, Christians are coming out against this, and they're not just kind of, I think they realize they have international support on this, so it kind of gives them a little bit of, they should be protesting on a daily basis. in France for what they're doing to the country.
Oh, we're going to talk about the blackout of Paris with only the basilica being illuminated.
Well, yeah, that was actually very well. Maybe they had a backup generator. Smart.
No, someone was just trying to light the way. Anyhow,
yeah.
French bishops expressed their thoughts to Christians worldwide who are hurt by the excess and provocation of certain scenes, as we detailed previously. It included at least 10 men in drag performing a reenactment of Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, along with many other sexualized scenes. Included a man with his testicles exposed, hanging out of his outfit. And don't tell me he didn't know that was happening. He absolutely knew that was going on. The opening ceremony includes scenes of derision and mocking of Christianity, which we deeply deplore. The statement continued, "We think all Christians worldwide were hurt by the excesses and provocation of certain scenes." The French bishops continued, "They hope they understand the Olympic celebration is far beyond an ideological basis of a few artists." Still the associate. What's that?
Biases, not bases.
Oh yeah, biases. Thank you. After Associated Press and other outlets hailed the segment an unprecedented display of inclusivity, despite overwhelmingly negative reaction, which come even from secular corners. So basically, it was absolutely just the middle finger to Christian culture. Even guys like Elon Musk are recognizing that and speaking out against it. So. Kudos to those who are out there, rejecting the degeneracy of this.
I just got to say, it's very interesting. And I don't mean this in a sarcastic way. He went from having a good time dressing up as Satan for last Halloween to defending Christians. It's an interesting.
Though he had to get directly involved. He had to get directly involved because a lot of people got in a lot of shit before he stepped in and said, "What the hell are you doing? Knock it off!" on his own platform.
I agree.
Listen, you don't have to be a Christian to say this is wrong. I don't think.
No.
I have no idea what Elon Musk's religion is, and I honestly don't care.
Neither do I. I'm just again. I'm just saying it's interesting that he was.
My point here is his as much as he wants to believe his platform is not captured, it is still captured, and he still hasn't got that through his head all the way yet.
I think he has. He just can only fire so many texts at a time.
Yeah, because he gets sued every damn time.
Yeah, and then you've also got to be able to hire back in without, creating the exact problem.
And if they do that, they need to start upping their base wages. Just saying, just an observation.
Interestingly enough, though, even elements of the European left condemned it. Far left French politician Jean-Luc Mélenchon said, "I didn't appreciate the mockery of the Christian Last Supper, the final meal of Christ and his disciples, which is foundational to Sunday worship. Of course, I'm not getting into a criticism of blasphemy. That doesn't concern everyone. But I ask, what's the point in risking offending believers, even when one is anti-clerical? Yeah. We were speaking to the world that evening. Among the billions Christians in the world, how many good and honest people are there for whom faith provides help in living and knowing how to participate in everyone's life without bothering anyone?" I mean, that is a correct, I think, position to take as any French politician, much less right or left. But it's more shocking to me that it is left. Though I will say, culturally, many traditional Europeans are still further to the right than the woke American left is.
So a couple of things. One, there's a $10 Rumble rant, but two, they never would have put up a scene that could have ever been construed as a slight against Islam. So when they say, "Oh no, we didn't mean it this way. It just happened to look that way," it never would have happened with Islam because they know what the result of that would have been, right?
Well, I want to back you up on that, Joe, because I heard a lot of people
dead bodies in the street.
This is France. This is the land of Charlie Hebdo. Yes, it is the land of Charlie Hebdo, whom all of you dipshits over there, all of you dipshits on the left, railed against at the time for what they did and said they deserved it right up until the actual attack happened.
Yeah.
So don't give me Charlie Hebdo.
Random PNW guy 84 for $10 says, "Why does it take the mullahs of Iran to defend Christianity?" I will make good use of that $10.
That's what I'm saying. They went, bro, this was wrong.
We had about that same thing. So absolutely.
And who are some of Armenia's allies? Iran. I'm just saying, things are like, behind the scenes. They're not as clear cut as they seem.
Yeah. Let's see. Exposed to an extremely tiny group of people. I think many, even in the LGBT community, found it completely ridiculous. Being secular does not mean hating on religion. It means separation of state and religion. It doesn't imply insult of religion and their believers. I think that's a good. And let's see, what is this? There's a video, right here. Let's play this video here. Let's see what this guy has to say. This is to the Paris Olympic Committee, not good enough. Bishop Robert Barron.
This is Bishop Barron. A few days ago, I did a video complaining about this outrageous opening ceremony at the Olympics.
I just have to say I'm very relieved. I thought this was all going to be frog speak.
The video went viral, and frankly, I had no intention of returning to the issue until this morning. I saw the so-called apology from the organizing committee, and I thought it's anything but an apology. In fact, it's kind of a masterpiece of woke duplicity. And so I just wanted to say a few things, because if they felt this is meant to mollify Christians, I would think again. Here's some of the things that were said. Clearly, there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. Give me a break. So we have a group of drag queens cavorting in a kind of sexually provocative way, clearly an imitation of Da Vinci's Last Supper, which presents to the world the Last Supper of Jesus. And no disrespect was meant. You think anyone takes that seriously? I love this. We tried to celebrate community tolerance. Yeah, tolerance, except for those pesky 2.6 billion Christians on the planet. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's tolerated. All this lovely diversity until you get to anyone that disagrees with your ideology, like these 2.6 billion people. So don't give me this business about tolerance.
More interesting, watcher. I'm going to drop this one. This is the same guy. It's in the private chat, but this is his actual criticism of the actual things.
This is Bishop Barron. Just a few days ago, I was in Indianapolis for the marvelous celebration of the Eucharistic Congress. 50,000 Catholics coming together to worship the Lord and celebrate the real presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. So I come from that experience, and I come home, and I love the Olympics. So I turn on the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. What do I see now? And it's in Paris, France, a city I love. I spent 3 years as a doctoral student there. What do I see but this gross mockery of the Last Supper? And I won't describe it any further. Just go online. It's gone viral. You can see it. But this France felt evidently, as it's trying to put its best cultural foot forward, the right thing to do is to mock this very central moment in Christianity where Jesus, in his Last Supper, gives his body and blood in anticipation of the cross. And so it's presented, though, as this gross, sort of flippant mockery. France, which used to be called the eldest daughter of the church, Paris, that gave us Thomas Aquinas taught there, and Vincent de Paul was there, King Louis IX, St. Louis. France has sent Catholic missionaries all over the world. France, whose culture, and I mean the honoring of the individual and of human rights and of freedom, is grounded very much in Christianity, felt the right thing to do was to mock the Christian faith. A question I would pose, we all know the answer to it. Would they ever have dared mock Islam in a similar way? Would they ever have dreamed of mocking in this gross, public way, a scene from the Quran? As I say, we all know the answer to that. I think, folks, what's interesting here is this deeply secularist postmodern society knows who its enemy is. They're naming it, and we should believe them. They're telling us who they are. We should believe them. But furthermore, we Christians, we Catholics should not be sheepish. We should resist. We should make our voices heard.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this guy at all.
You know, there's one, and it's a nitpick, but you know, the oldest daughter of the church, cult of reason unavailable for comment, and everything that happened after it existed.
Well, in fairness, Napoleon was a pretty he was not a fan of. I mean, granted, he was a secularist for sure, but you know, he was not a fan of the cult of reason. That only lasted about 10 years, if I remember correctly. All right. Tangentially related, but more in line with us talking about just, you know, the interesting things going on in and around the Olympics. Second sabotage. I think it was Friday we talked about the trains. I think it was Friday. We talked about the train lines getting hit. Second sabotage. And then, of course, we had the power outage over the weekend, which you guys were referring to, one that left that basilica lit, but basically plunged Paris in darkness for several hours. Second sabotage, French internet fiber cables severed, causing widespread disruptions. France is experiencing it's the outage tracking website NetBlocks confirmed on X. The network data shows disruptions to multiple internet providers in France amid reports of fiber sabotage campaign targeting telecoms infrastructure during the Paris 2024 Olympics. Bloomberg reports that fiber lines operated by telecommunications company SFR cut during the overnight hours. Internet traffic in the southern and eastern regions of the country was disrupted and has since been rerouted. In a separate incident on Friday, far-left extremists paralyzed France's high-speed... Did they actually figure out who that was?
Yeah. No, they keep telling us that this is far-left extremists or climate people, but the problem is this doesn't, particularly now that they've gone after the internet, this doesn't fit their MO at all.
Yeah. It says on Monday, French Interior Ministry confirmed that the far-left extremists carried out the attacks on the nation's train networks. Will French President Macron condemn ultra-left activists for destroying critical infrastructure? When will it be time to label these acts as terrorism? Well, you know, when they know Muslims didn't do it, I guess. Stan, welcome. How's your French Olympic experience going thus far? Or are you
I haven't had one.
I know. We talked earlier.
Yeah,
that's why that's funny. Anyway, yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy what we're seeing here. I mean, they're literally. I've never seen a more direct. Maybe there has been, but not at this scale. More direct finger in the face to Christians worldwide than that opening ceremony.
Oh, I think there have, but this is the latest one. So,
yeah,
this is you're going to get 3 weeks out of this for the entire time that the Olympics are around, and then people will memory hole it and move on, and that's unfortunate because the pattern is clear. But as far as the French Olympics is concerned, I mean, this is if you're struggling to understand what the definition of Schadenfreude is, this is Schadenfreude, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm reveling in their misery. Restaurant owners are bitching.
Well, there was some viral footage on TikTok, I guess, of like the buses aren't on time, and they don't have any AC in the buses, and they don't have any AC in the Olympic Village.
And the French don't bathe. Other than that, it's great. So.
Apparently, the NBA players on the Dream Team have taken $20 million and rented out the entire hotel for the duration of the games. So they're living large. It's anyway. So this viral footage, they couldn't get a ride on a bus, so the skateboarders go into the to the skating venue, picked up their skateboards, and just like skateboarders do, they skated over to the thing. And apparently, the French were very upset about that because they couldn't be secured. We can't have control of you when you don't use our buses. So shocking.
If I can live in if I can live in Charleston for 4 years without air conditioning in a giant barracks, they can suck it up.
I mean, just because here's the thing, you don't need the train to suck, right? I mean, it's.
No.
Hey, but remember, everyone, if you don't want to go over to their smelly, disgusting, unair-conditioned cities and watch them get stabbed to death by the migrants they invited in, you're uncultured.
That's right. I was telling my kids, I was like, listen, 10 years ago, maybe I would have taken the family to Europe to see the museums and things like that. Not now. No. I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah, I don't know if this is on the topic list or not, but this is for Joe. I noticed that Giorgia Meloni has flown all the way to Beijing to crawl back into the Belt and Road Initiative. So that should tell you something.
Fun.
What country is that?
Well, she was upset because I didn't have internet service last weekend and she couldn't chat with me. So, by the way, Stan, we had a lion out here last night. Just so you know.
A what? A mountain lion?
Mountain lion, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. That's good.
So, are we going to see it all while we're down there, Stan? Or are you too busy to? I'd understand if you were.
Bro, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm going to be DJing,
okay.
Up there on that balcony, right?
Well, we'll be. I'll be rolling
on the balcony right over here. Yeah.
Well, Scott's going to be there Tuesday, so tomorrow, and then I'll be rolling in.
Scott won't be worth a dime by the time he gets there. Tomorrow,
very true.
So.
Well, Scott, aren't you arriving at exactly when you're leaving?
That's right. I want to say it's a 13.5-hour combined flights and
time machine.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you'll be okay. So if you don't sleep on the plane, you'll get there at you get to Missoula at 5:30 in the evening, right? Yeah. By the time you get to Ponderosa, it'll be time to go to bed. You'll be right back on the cycle next morning. You'll be fine.
That's right. That's exactly right. I will probably sleep on the plane though, because I'm leaving at 5:30 my time. So I'll be in the air, all throughout my night, right? So,
hey, just one thing, okay? Look out for the snakes on the plane.
That's what they say.
Come on.
Hey, come on.
Wow.
Are you flying KAL or what airline are you on?
Asiana to Seattle and then Alaska.
Oh, Asiana. They've practiced landings since Big Screw Up. It's no problem.
I've had very good experiences on Asiana and Korean are my favorites.
Yeah, they're both good. I used to love the OKAL 747s where they had the big bar up in the bubble on
in the top.
It was tremendous.
Now, I do want to keep joking around for a bit, but before we get too far into the ad break, I did want to mention that, hey guys, if you want to join us in the thing that we're all talking about going to, head over to shieldfielddays.com. Go fill out your registration so we actually know how many of you are going to be there. It's important.
And in a stunning display of cyber capabilities, if you go there and look at this and don't sign up, we will know you were there. So,
well, they're going to have to account for a lot of Watcher doing that every showtime, but okay.
Yeah, and seriously, if you want a reservation here at the site, it's filling up. You need to make that happen today. So, and for
this should be fun.
I sat on that couch behind Stan the other day, and it's very comfy, by the way.
So, yeah.
I would expect nothing more from Stan than having comfy couch.
Absolutely.
So, shieldfielddays.com. Go sign up. Look at all the vendors.
Absolutely, it's going to be a great time, guys. I mean, you know,
wow,
if you were at the,
I literally during the show sent him that ruck gear list, and it's already on the website. So.
That's right. So let's go through it then, shall we? Backpack, water, rain gear, first aid kit, warming layers, bear socks, compass, insect repellent, fire starting gear, and
hang on. For those of you who are coming from out of town, you need to add an 11th item on this, and that is you need to get some bear spray. Just say.
I don't think I could take bear spray on the airplane.
I know you'll have to buy it here.
Yeah.
I will also be probably toting my little 50 caliber arrow.
We actually have quite a bit of bear spray here in the site, so.
We'll rent it to you for a nominal fee.
A nominal fee, yeah. Exactly right.
Are we talking about bear spray that travels at supersonic speeds? Because let's be real here.
Well,
you go ahead and use your bear with that little 380
unless you're checking something that's around 50 caliber downrange, it's mostly just going to piss it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember my first trip to Montana. I was at Murdoch's, and there was an end cap display for bear spray, and there were two sizes, and one size was effective at, I think, 30 yards, and so many, it's like 7 seconds, and the larger can was effective at 45 yards and effective for 12 seconds, and there was a $2 price difference between the two. And I remember standing there thinking, this is not where I would want to save $2, right? So
have you guys yet acquired any of the rock salt shotgun shells that they use to scare bears out of campsites?
If I'm going to shoot a bear, it's not going to be rock salt.
Well, this is for the hey, we don't want to kill you, just move the hell along sort of thing. Apparently, it spooks them out that you're able to affect them from a distance.
I would be worried that it would just piss it off.
Nah. Well, it depends. I mean, if it's a black bear, it'll run it off. If it's a grizzly, you pay your dues, you take your chances. I mean, that's,
seasoning.
You split load with slugs just in case it's a grizz. That's
nah. For the most part, mountain lion's a different story. Mountain lions are sneaky.
Well, by the time you see the mountain lion, it's too late.
Yeah. No, yeah, but you just have to be aware. That's all. But
this mountain lion was ran off last night by a dog. So, dog barked.
Well, and that's the key aspect of that is you get a good livestock guardian dog, and that pretty well takes care. So Pyrenees, Caucasian mix, Kangal, all that sort of stuff. And it's best if you have two. Because they really do, like that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where the dogs, hey Fred, hit the time clock. How you doing, Joe? Hit the time clock. They change shifts. So,
I think Pinochet's got a point. Instead of bear spray or bullets, throw leftists at the bears.
Well, we don't have any of those here. We've used up all the leftists.
I mean, we can invest in some nets and drive up to Kalispell.
Now,
Scott can bring a whole bunch up from Missoula from the college.
Remember though, Chad, if you do end up being the one who wanders off at night to go take a whiz out in the woods and ends up getting mauled by the grizzly, just ask yourself, would I prefer this or a white leftist cat lady?
Yeah. Yeah.
So me and a group of guys did a hike the other night after class, and we're walking along. And I said, "Okay, here's the bear plan. I'm going to smack one of you in the knee with this hiking stick, and then the rest of us are going to run."
Selwyn in the chat makes a valid point. Mules can be mean sons of bitches.
Yes,
that's
correct.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's a lot of farms use mules as their livestock guardians. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have to be fast. I just have to be faster than the slowest guy. So,
well, before we scare everybody off, look, we have a lot of flora and fauna, and just have to be aware. And we haven't had any incidents down there, so I don't think we're likely to have any now. Particularly the larger the crowd size, the less likely.
Yeah, I was going to say the more of us
they're not going to like it,
the less likely it'll be.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, this is not like that movie with Michael Douglas and where the lions were dragging the railroad guys out of the tents. It's not quite like that.
So I need to warn everybody, something's about to come on your screen, and it is now time. It is now time that you pull out your CFC bingo card. Pull out your CFC Apocalypse bingo card. You are now free to either cross off the Larry Fink or Free Square. Larry Fink or Free Square.
Who had BlackRock CEO Larry Fink and the shooter with a rifle on their bingo card?
That looks photoshopped to me.
I know it does, but still, it's very funny.
It's hilarious, though. That's the point. The giveaway is the gun, by the way, because that's not a gun.
This is that's not a knife.
Yeah, that movie about the lions, Shadow and Darkness, or whatever it was called. That's a true story. Those lions really are at the the Museum of Natural History in Chicago. I mean, that's
for now
almost hard to believe, but it's a true story. Anyhow, we digress.
We do digress. Let's jump into our number one topic for today. Looking at the election fortification in Venezuela, or the Venezuela screw job. It looks like the Maduro regime has declared victory, even though they used police at the polling places to keep people to continue to vote. Once the opposition's turnout looked like it was massively in their favor, and I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but I've seen several posts now on X where basically the opposition has basically come out saying, "Yeah, we won."
But this is the way of elections now. We've seen this happen in several nations. Most recently, France, and everyone just blinked and let it go on by.
Mm-hmm.
This is not new.
So, there were some interesting.
Wait a minute. Why do you think that we're working so hard to establish hereditary feudalism here in the Duchy of Montana? I mean, I just get over all this stuff.
Well. I
hey guys, all kidding aside, we really got, Scott, you used the wrong fucking language. It's not election fortification, it's election theft.
They absolutely. The election. But I'm just using the language of the last election because that's exactly what it is.
Don't do that. You give it credence. Use the right language. Use the right descriptive terms. Otherwise, you are part of the problem. You are not part of the solution. Don't use their language. Don't use their terminology.
The difference is I'm not being serious, Ron. I agree with you.
Well,
so here's the fun thing. They blew their own cover this time, and I'd like to start with this so that we're all on the same ground. Everyone's very angry, and one of the things that made everyone the very most angry was this photo, which got shared early on in the day, which showed a bunch of election workers in the data center as votes were coming in. And you'll notice some things that they left unsecured on the screens behind them that they apparently did not intend to do so, because they show the socialists losing by such unbelievable fucking margins that it was unrecoverable.
Right.
And this is around the time at which the government came down and said, "Yeah, we're going to stop broadcasting the election now."
Yeah, we're going to stop broadcasting the election, and then they also sent in the police and the military to shut off certain polling places.
We'll get to those clips because it was more than just the military. They also sent in armed Chauvinista gangs.
Yeah.
But the first thing that happened is that before Maduro or anybody else came out, his campaign manager came out to announce victory. So we can't give you results. We can't tell you how much we won by, but we won. Oh yeah.
But we're happy because
Hey guys, this is all great, but here's my point, and that is, we get all worked up about this, and yet we let this go on in our own country.
Mm-hmm.
I have great sympathy for the people of Venezuela, just as I have great sympathy for other people whose elections are ripped off. But instead of coming to this country and doing shit like this or whatever the hell Venezuelan gangs are doing in our country, if they're really pissed off about it, sort your own country out. That's it. I mean, we're not responsible for all this stuff. We're just not. We have more problems to fix in this country than we have asked to cover.
Well,
I'm not going to worry about Venezuela.
But when it's literally the same company running our elections as is running
Yeah, I understand
very
that.
relevant.
So why don't Ron and I start acting like the Black Panthers in Philadelphia in 2020 and standing out in front of polling stations, staring people down?
I look shitty in blackface, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I'm not a Justin Trudeau kind of guy.
Let's be White Panthers. How about that? Huh? We'll be White Panthers.
I'll be white dudes for fairness. How's that?
I like that. I'll take that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but I think if I translate yours into grunt speak, you're about to the point where you're all out of give a fucks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of like the South Africa thing, right? Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm sure. No disrespect to Canine Reaper, but dude, I'm not going to be able to help you.
We can't help ourselves, much less anybody else. Well-armed Corgi for 999 says, seems to be a familiar pattern that the left wins despite unrecoverable odds with shady early morning ballot dumps after they publicly stop counting ballots. Right. And so I guess my point on this whole thing is not so much that Venezuela is important, right? Because Venezuela is not hugely important. It's important, but not hugely important. And ultimately, I think we're looking at basically a vision of the future in America, for what's going to happen in November. And if you don't think, I mean, this kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, Stans, since last year, where, it doesn't matter how popular somebody is going into this election. All of a sudden, when the election stealing begins, to use Ron's terminology, ultimately, well, sorry, Trump, you had these huge, massive, rallies, and Kamala Harris had 68 people show up in Philadelphia to support her. But it doesn't matter. You lose, we win. Here's the ballots. See you in 4 years, right? I mean, I can absolutely see how that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't think Venezuela's done yet. I mean,
I don't think so. Well, right, and that's the. Right,
that's the thing. There's reporting that the opposition,
getting ahead.
People are like, well, we're not going to, just roll over and play Tickle Me Elmo. We're actually going to go into the streets and.
Perfect. Thank you for leading us into that, because that started happening last night when reports were that the police and military were securing those polling stations. So here's a little clip.
Yeah, Venezuelan voters have refused to leave the voting centers until all votes are counted. The people of Venezuela are on the verge of destroying socialism. God help them. I don't know if they're ready to destroy socialism, but they sure are pissed off that the election's getting stole right out from underneath them.
So the clip that
where's Victoria Nuland when they need her?
Well, she could have been one of. Well, let me go back to that other clip that I was just talking about.
Could
have been one of these. I don't know. Could have been one of these. Just saying. I mean, all the faces are covered for all we know.
Yeah, this is the Chavez gangs coming in, basically
stealing the voting machines,
voting machines, and destroying them. You got to cover up the evidence, right?
The protest is all nice and everything, but that assumes that Maduro cares about public sentiment. He doesn't.
No, we know that. We know that. So what does that extrapolate to in terms of what the solution looks like?
Rifles in the dark.
There you are.
That's exactly right. Venezuela Electoral Commission is now claiming that 80% of the votes in, Maduro has won a third term as president, despite all early polls having Maduro way behind the opposition candidate. The commission claims Maduro secured.
This reminds me of something that happened here. I can't remember when.
Well, except for
Oh.
look. Funnily enough, like weirdly, at least our communists had the decency to wait until 3 a.m. and claim that like.
Well, just go down to the
there was
next
a leak.
go down to the next post, Watcher. Right? Yeah. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And that's photo is from Detroit, by the way.
Yeah, that's this. Yeah. This is the one where they didn't want people watching.
Hey, fun fact: you never had to allow any of this.
So Stan asked a question, and very rare form for me. I'm going to actually treat it seriously and not snarky. What will matter is if these people can rise up and make noise long enough to get somebody in the army to be brave enough to turn on Maduro. Correct?
That's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. That's
not on the leftist side. Yeah, it's all for one for all type of on the leftist side. Now you may have people on the other side decide they've had enough. I'm angry as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying
understand how a leftist regime works, right? Those guys in the army are the only ones who have life pretty good in Venezuela, right? Because Maduro's smart enough to keep them fed, clothed, and dry.
Well, the Quds, wait. The Quds Force guys are doing okay, so they got that going for them.
Those guys are there too, yeah.
All right. And so, Watcher, if you look in the notes, that I added the link right below this police mobilized one. If you could open that one up, I probably added it after you pulled links. This is video of the police. Yeah, that's the one.
It's not for some. Hold on, it's not popping up for some reason.
Hey, while he looks for that, let me just add a historical note here. We all think that the military, the police won't switch sides, but I recall when Khomeini and the Shah were fighting for control of Iran, there was the Iranian army guarding government buildings, and the people of Iran protest, and suddenly those soldiers switch sides.
Yeah, they did.
And I mean, so whether it's they suddenly say, "Shit, that's my family out there protesting," or "Shit, this is these people are from my village or my town," there's that realization. It doesn't have to be some sort of highly secret organizational skill. It's just like like people suddenly go, "What the?"
It's just inertia. Yeah, sometimes it's just social inertia.
Yeah,
Joe, do my eyes deceive me?
What, he has a shotgun?
Which shotgun is that, though?
Is that a spaz?
Is that a spaz?
No, I don't think it is.
No, I think it's just a Remington or something with that kind of folding stock.
Okay, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
I was gonna say spaz. That's a kind of, anyway. It says here, Nicolas Maduro has now activated the Venezuelan military to block people from voting because turnout on the opposition is historic. I'm going to open this guy's Twitter because he's been all over these tweets.
Well, she hasn't missed many meals.
Well, kind of where I was going with the left is capable of turning on their own when they sense opportunism. And if there's some military leader that senses an opportunity, and has a little ambition,
that does give
me. But conflating the left in America with South and Central America is not. They're not the same. They're not a one-to-one equivalency.
Yeah, and it's not the left military turning on it. We're not talking here, Sniper. We're not talking about generals, suddenly switching sides. We're talking about the rank and file. The soldiers.
Absolutely.
It's always a colonel in this instance. Always
fair. Well, no, it was a captain in that African country.
Oh, you just depressed Peter because he's going, but I'm only a major. I wanted to lead the revolt.
The Venezuelans who are motivated and fit enough to do anything use that motivation and fitness to walk north a long time ago.
Sorry, hold on. I'm going to correct something. I am a major promotable.
That sounds like a threat.
What do you have, like a P in the middle of your oak leaf?
A major promotable what?
What do you promote? You know, Amway products.
Are your diversity scores not high enough, or what?
I can't say what I can't say what I promote
Proof.
because technically still under UCMJ. So
Okay.
So guys, let's get into this next part of it. Governments all over South America are declaring that they will not accept the results of the stolen Venezuelan election, except the few that have come out and said they will.
Yeah, Cuba specifically, oddly enough, and probably Bolivia.
What has Colombia said?
I haven't heard anything about that. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, that's the one.
So the ones to watch are Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador.
Yeah,
Brazil's not gonna. Brazil won't do anything.
Who wants to guess who was the first to come out against it and the most fiery thus far, though?
Oh, it was Argentina, no question.
Correct.
Well, and the president of Uruguay has also come out.
And literally, the question for Milei is, you and what army, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he made some pretty stupid comments from the lectern, but I mean, you and what army, pal? I mean, the UK kicked your ass 30 years ago, so.
I think I also saw that the what's his face in God, why can I never remember his name? The one that everybody got really mad at because he locked all the gang members up, and then
Bukele.
Bukele has also come out against this. So
okay, Bukele can send his 5,000 soldiers and do what?
Well, you know, he's more likely to use his Bitcoin to buy like PMCs or something like that. But
well, yeah, and I want to remind everyone what is the bounty on Maduro right now? I'm pretty sure it's $15 million.
I don't know.
From who? I don't think
the U.S. government for drug trafficking.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
I have. This is why there were mercenaries that were trying to go and abduct him.
Let's also remember that the Venezuelans, the current government promised free and fair elections, and Biden goes and Blinky goes, oh, okay, I guess we'll ease up on the sanctions on you guys, and Jake Sullivan is the brain, man.
So the U.S. government has a $15 million bounty on Maduro. We have $5 million bounty on most of his top level judges. We've got a $10 million bounty on 4 of his direct government officials. Yeah, no, this is all legit government bounties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't see Panama going what is it, 89 in Panama, Joe?
That's the number.
I don't see that going down though.
Christmas of '89, actually.
Yeah, I was on a ski trip when that happened.
So I've got this queued up.
I was not on a ski trip. I was a swimming trip.
Swimming trip.
Rowing. Anyway.
So this is the opposition leader, Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, and candidate Edmundo Gonzalez have officially declared victory in the election. And Maria says they've won all the states in the country. It looks like civil war is brewing. Yeah, see, that's where I think this is going potentially. I think people in Venezuela are pretty pissed off about this.
And you know who are the most excited about it?
Who's that?
All like the Catholic church charities, all the apparatus that supports any types of illegal immigration.
Oh yeah. If you were I'm here to tell you, if you have a civil war in Venezuela, that's going to be a sharp increase to refugees going into Colombia and other countries.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but what's playing out literally right now is exactly the plot of Jack Ryan's season 2. No, seriously, it is, right?
Well,
Venezuelan election.
Yeah.
It. Where's Jack Ryan when you need him?
Where is he?
There's this guy I know that's moving out of Michigan that has a real famous line on this subject.
What line is that?
Worldwide civil wars.
Yeah, worldwide civil wars.
Yes. Yes.
So this is for anybody who says this may
Who wants to
not
lay-
impact us.
Do we want to lay up predictions?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
No, I mean, I don't know that I want to go first because I actually don't know any more than communists bad about this one. It's Venezuela. It's not my area.
I think we go around the horn on this one. Joe, let's have Joe Stradamus look into the crystal ball and let us know what is going to happen with Venezuela.
Well, there'll be some civil unrest in the streets. The Venezuelan armed forces will kill a few people, and then life will go on as it has for the last 2 terms of Nicolas Maduro. That's it.
Yeah, you don't see anything special kind of popping up that might make this a little different.
I don't. It's a disarmed citizenry who are very vocal but not very active. So I don't see much coming of it.
Oh,
Wait,
look!
If only we had the old CIA, they'd be buying high points and dropping them.
Wait a minute. There in my private chat, there's a guy named James Monroe has a question. And he said, why would we care more about Ukraine than the stunted democracy in Venezuela? If we were going to spend $200 billion to protect democracy someplace, why wouldn't we do it in the largest country with the largest deposit of hydrocarbons on the planet? Why would we do that?
The only country on the planet for whose hydrocarbon supply we are set up to refine.
Correct.
Yeah.
James Monroe's question stands unanswered.
Well, in this actually gets back to why is this important? Right? Ron, what's your take on this as far as looking towards the future?
I think they're going to redeploy the Gaza Pier and put it off the coast of Venezuela now. This seems to be the Jake
during
Sullivan
hurricane
go-to solution. Oh yeah, of course.
Oh God, make it even.
Well,
funnier.
I think
funnier. Have the Iranians bring the Burchard over and make their own version that actually works.
Yeah, I think this actually accelerates the British Guiana timeline as a distraction.
Oh, I do too.
And as a cover to decimate the protesters in Venezuela, who will be labeled as traitors.
Distract the rest of the world from it, right?
Correct. Who's gonna project force to British Guiana? The French? No. The British? No. Us? No.
The French can send their transgender brigade.
Can't the Grenadians send?
There's a reason why France calls a lot of their brigades demi-brigades.
Yeah, because they're not really brigades. They're really companies.
Look, just send the blue guy.
Yeah.
Oh God!
He'll get everybody to stop fighting, right? That was the point.
Pete, what's your take on this? Looking into the future.
Well, I mean, he's obviously not going to just give up control. So what does he do? Does he wag the tail and go after some resource-rich regions? If so, then what are the responses that the U.S. and other nations in the area can take? And in that area, I think pretty slim to none. Too much focused on everywhere else. And it was a couple of weeks ago, the head of Southcom was talking about the need to counter the rise of China and how they're already stretched thin. And like, if you are now talking about how stretched thin you are now, then you are 20 years behind.
And let's note that the commander of Southcom, she's like almost done with her term, and she's like a week out from retiring. So it's amazing how these generals and admirals become suddenly truth tellers and speak truth to power when they no longer have a career.
Yeah.
Oh
no. She has a career.
Not in uniform.
Is she promotable?
No.
No.
To the vice president and or main lobbyist for some defense firm, sure.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, they have careers lined up. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
and that's what's disgusting.
I mean, Southcom is the weakest of all the military commands. Yeah. Seriously,
by design.
Yeah, I got it. And it and Northcom are like they're neck and neck half the time, but Southcom is pathetic.
Do any of y'all follow an account
Space for
DJ? Let me see if I can get it right here.
No, Real quick though, I think we're Sniper. Do you want to give yours, and then I have kind of a closing one on this.
Well, I'll be a little contrarian and pray for a little hope, because somebody in chat reminded me that Idi Amin was actually just a senior NCO. It could break in a very interesting way, and if the pressure stays on long enough and you start to see a break, then it becomes, musical chairs time. Who gets where, who lines up where, and let's just hope that liberty wins out. Is it likely? No, but let's hope.
Idi Amin as your hope for liberty.
I'm using him as an example of it can happen from the strangest places.
Terrible example.
I would have used Joseph Mabuto, but that's all right.
Less familiar with him. The point being, it's just that it can come from unusual places.
All right. Well, right. I will somewhat back up Sniper there and say that while I wish we had the old CIA who would have been all over this and would have been arming rebel groups for years prior to this, we'd have seen barrels and baskets and buckets of arms being smuggled into the country under any excuse you can possibly imagine for years. But we don't, unfortunately. Now they support the communists, and we're kind of fucked on that front. I do want to say that I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I don't know which way it's going to go. 3D printed arms are available to all, so that might not be as big an issue as some people think. And I'd like to give the final word to this to a Venezuelan who is speaking to Western leftists observing and celebrating the election. So we'll just let her have the final say on the topic.
A mí no hay nada que me dé más arrechera que un maldito comunista de primer mundo. No tiene ni puta idea de lo que pasa en Nicaragua, no tiene ni puta idea de lo que pasa en Venezuela, pero te viene a explicar a ti, como ciudadano de esos países, lo que sucede, porque ellos sí saben. Unos hijueputas desde Italia, desde Suiza, desde Francia, desde España, que te vienen a decir a ti lo que es el comunismo y por qué es bueno. Te calles la puta.
God love her.
Entonces, hambre, ahí me vienes a hablar a mí de comunismo.
Some language.
Yeah. Hey, before we do transition, I'd bring up, if you can, the what I put into our chat, because I just want to highlight this individual.
Oh yeah, the DJ guy.
Yeah.
Well, I want to point something out about the 3D printed firearms. They're not necessarily available in Venezuela. You can't just run out and buy a printer and buy PLA.
I'm sure, but if you can sneak out of the country, theoretically, people can sneak you back in, and there are people who are willing to make money running anything, anywhere that happen to be operating around in that country. So,
the biggest issue with 3D printed firearms is ammunition.
Very true, but
hey, I know a guy.
Again, there as we've said, we've seen this happen in the strangest of places. Boy, who would have guessed that there would be a civil war being waged? Still, even to this day, it's been fought for how many years now, with one side being armed entirely by themselves and little 3D squirty boys. So,
all right, let's share this tweet that Pete's given us. All right, talk us through it, Pete.
So, DJ, so it said go to. Let's see here. Can you go back one? Go back, okay. So see what I'm responding to. I'm responding to. Did he delete it? To Martin's thing about how we're not in any position militarily in our hemisphere. Well, DJ in his accounts has multiple threads. One being the thread on the Caribbean and the U.S. neglect, and then also how to build out like a Caribbean, sea in our backyard. How to between the military PMC action. So he gives it a lot of thought. We have weekly meetings about ideas and concepts and stuff. So check him out. Check out his account. Check out his threads, and just enjoy. And feel free to give advice because he wants advice. He wants to know. He's not a true military guy. He works in DoD, but he doesn't do it for a living now, like a trigger puller.
Not a company man.
Yeah.
We were just given a breaking story in our chat by Sean. I don't know if you want to cover it or not, but it's spicy.
Which one here? I'm not. Oh, in our
CFC on the Twitter chat. Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. Let me see it. Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, this is a good story for us to kind of mention in transitioning to the next story, because it's a kind of a palate cleanser talking about.
Hey, what's that doing there?
Well, so this kind of is, Joe, we've been talking about this for a little while. The Ukrainians, despite having manpower shortages and having to, press gang people off the streets to man the trenches, are able to send their the Ukrainian tier 1 special operations guys into Africa to go harass Wagner patrols and things like that. And to use their drones and things, in Sudan, in, all through the Sahel, really, wherever Wagner's been. But I just find this interesting. I get the feeling there's some CIA financing all this kind of stuff. Shocking, I know.
I think they bought the flag. I think that's the extent of it at this point.
So there was another video that actually confirmed and had a Ukrainian guy there saying that they were there, but unfortunately, right as I went to pull it, it got deleted.
Yeah, so one of the guys in this picture. Okay, see the guy in the blue right here?
This one.
This is the Ron of Ukraine, in and amongst the unwashed masses in Malawi, or Mali rather. And he's definitely probably brought this Ukrainian flag with him. And he's got white skin and, but he's got a mask on his face.
It's pretty interesting because some of the videos that were released from that raid reveal some pretty legit war crimes happening even on the video. So
right.
I wouldn't exactly want to wave my flag over top of that.
Well, it's not as though Ukraine's exactly had an issue doing that in the past. Weirdly.
I mean, the Slavic Civil War has been a gold mine for the people who want to see videos of war crimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of war crimes.
Yeah, Ron, you're right. Terrible offset.
And how many days does that buy the Ukrainians? Just saying. It's right. What was the quote about, something of a sideshow of a whatever. I mean, it's cheap propaganda.
Well, not cheap propaganda, but speaking of war crimes, how about those kids killed in Israel, eh?
Yeah. So our second topic.
What a segue.
Our second topic today is going to be talking about basically what Hezbollah is doing.
I'm sorry, that's me. My apologies.
Okay, that's you. Okay, I was thinking that was Sean, but he's gone. Basically, we've talked about this for several months now. Hezbollah continues to poke the bear, and I think from the Israeli side of the ledger, this propaganda, usage of the 12 dead children, is probably what potentially will push the fairly hawkish government into action in Hezbollah. Well, in southern Lebanon. Let me pull this one up.
Well, I mean, just to speak to that while you're pulling, I believe that Bibi cut his visit short and is headed home immediately to take action on this.
The Israeli Defense Council has already unanimously approved the action plan to invade Lebanon.
Yeah,
that was 24 hours ago.
Yeah, it's just a matter of setting the conditions and moving people around. We've got video of tanks on the move on the roads. Forces
there was a
coming
flurry
from
of nations advising their citizens to leave last night. I think
to leave. Yep.
Norway, Sweden, Belgium, France, UK, United States, and Arabia of all places.
Yeah. Fears grow of a wider war between Israel and Hezbollah after a rocket attack on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights that killed 12 children. Israel blames Hezbollah for the attack and said the militant group will pay the price. The Security Cabinet authorized Netanyahu and the defense minister to decide on the nature and timing of the response against Hezbollah. Lebanon says it received reassurances from third countries that Israel's response would be limited. Yeah, right. Hezbollah firmly denies it is behind the strike. Oh, who would be then? Oh, it's the Hamas cell operating out of southern Lebanon?
We should clarify. I've seen a lot of indications that this was a precision weapon as well. This wasn't just a random rocket that flew in a random direction and it happened to hit a soccer field. This was a guided weapon.
I've heard the same things, and it's most likely an Iranian. So it may have been
Hezbollah does not possess anything that it did not get from Iran. It's
100%.
And I made a comment in the chat. If the Saudi citizens do listen to their country's travel advisory and leave, we might not have a problem with Hezbollah anymore.
Yeah. Let's see. Several European. Yeah. And
what?
The interest.
What are you talking about?
There are a lot of foreign fighters in Hezbollah.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that point is going to stand up. But let's move on.
It's called humor, Stan. Bear with me.
In order to keep moving on, let's can we talk about what some of these preparations would be that need to be done? I think that they're probably moving resources away from the fight in the strip, correct?
Hamas.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. They're in the winding down of the Gaza Strip operation.
Well, sure, but I'm sure that they're pulling guys that were closer down there for security purposes or whatever, and strategically removing them further north.
And I've contended that ultimately the only thing keeping them out of southern Lebanon is the fact that they don't want to fight two fronts at the same time, essentially. So this is another
Q Erdogan in 3, 2,
yes.
1.
Oh, so I actually do have a question about that with Erdogan doing what he was doing, and I don't know the answer to this, so it's entirely open. What does the Israeli Navy look like? Could they defend against a sea invasion?
Yes.
I don't think that. Yes, and I don't think Turkey would do that. I think Turkey would offer. They would send troops down through Syria because they already own the northern half of Syria. So,
okay.
In fact, an Israeli naval corvette shot down using its advanced air defenses, shot down some Hezbollah rockets, missiles. So, I think they're very capable. They're very agile, and if the Turks were to send any sort of naval force, whether it's amphibious or not, it would line the bottom of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Not to mention there's still a pretty massive British, French, and U.S. naval presence in
off
between
the coast.
Those two places. Yeah.
And right, and then you've got the Brits and Cyprus as well. So.
Well, okay, but are we really a threat though? Because I don't know that. Should we act on Turkey? Yes. Are we going to? No, I don't.
But I don't think Turkey wants to spend the political capital and put us in that position. So
I agree with that.
Like Stan said, I mean,
what was it? I can't remember who said that the Erdogan stuff was being touted as, was it Blinken or somebody like that was saying that it was for a domestic audience only. I don't think that's true, but at the same time, I don't think Erdogan wants to get involved in any more conflict that he's already got, because they're dropping bombs in Iraq and in Syria.
I think that might be right. Although I will tell you that there is a thought that pings whenever I think about this, and I wonder about the possibility, which is, hey, you know who the two main arms exporters in the region who are constantly competing against each other are? Turkey and Israel.
Well, I mean, if you look, they're both selling arms to Azerbaijan. So
yeah, and they're both competing for various different contracts around the world and have been for quite a long time, including Ukrainian drone contract. Like literally everywhere you look, the two leading competitors are generally these two if somebody's knocked China out of the competition for one reason or another. And so I do wonder if there is some element of.
I think the South Koreans are a way more of a military export base. If you're looking at non-US and non-NATO countries,
probably true. I didn't know that South Korea was really big into drone manufacturing, though.
Oh, you're talking specifically drone manufacturers. They do make drones, but they don't export a lot of their drones. But, yeah, I thought you meant in general.
Oh yeah, no, none of these guys are producing artillery or anything like that.
I wanted to hit this one story here. Israel's response to the deadly rocket attack would be severe. These children are so. This kind of gets to, and then Stan, you kind of made this point before the show, and I think it's legit, is to kind of cry over these, in such a terrible way that these 12 children. Right. I mean, how many children potentially have died in Gaza? I don't believe the 30,000 number, but I think it is, many thousands of children have died in Gaza. So it's hard to kind of, say that these 12 are special when the ones in Gaza weren't. That being said, Hamas is famous for using children as shields. And to some extent, you have to fight around that.
My understanding, these kids were Drew's kids. Is that confirmed?
Yes. Yes. It says here that these children were. So this is Netanyahu kind of playing up the dead children, right? These children are our children. They are children of all of us. Netanyahu said, "The state of Israel will not and cannot put this to rest. Our response will come, and it will be severe." And so it says here that more than they're basically Syrian Druze town in the occupied Golan Heights. More than 20,000 Druze Arabs live in Golan Heights, which Israel seized in 1967. And none of the children there had Israeli citizenship, interestingly enough. But
that's why this all feels
kind of put up, right?
Yeah.
Scrolling down, I saw something that was kind of interesting that I hadn't seen before. They've now put 86% of Gaza on an evacuation order, which is what they do right before they strike it. Which would be an interesting, to the 14% that they haven't put under an evacuation order. Presumably, if they follow the pattern they've been doing in the past, although I don't know that they've even got enough aircraft to do this, maybe I'm wrong. They essentially give these orders and then within a couple hours come in and hit the areas that they've ordered to be evacuated hard enough to destroy any tunnels underground hard. So
in the old days,
it would be a way to put a cap on it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we should move on to our next one here.
Guys, I'm gonna have to step out. I just want to reiterate that if you're interested, folks, you need to you need to think about coming down this weekend if you're within the sound of my voice, and spending the weekend. Joe, I'll see you at 9:30.
Yeah, 9:30ish. So yeah, Hunch and I are swinging by. So.
We do have a super chat that you could address here. Random PNW guy 84 for $5 says, "Is Shields Arms looking to building an ammo? Is Shield Arms looking to building an ammo factory like PSA did with AAC ammo?"
No comment.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Well, I mean, I just wanted to give you a chance to say no comment. All right, Stan. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, brother.
Hasta mañana. Travel safe, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
All right. So just a little background on this. This is an X post. This is the next one. Yeah, I think we got the same one up. Yeah. In the past 2 months, local strives have increased in the villages of South Lebanon and the southern suburbs of Beirut. On July 14th, a Hezbollah activist, Samir Kabani, was killed during such a dispute with Amal members. It seems disagreement on the war situation creates a clash of opinions, which leads to violence. Most of these incidents are silenced by Hezbollah, mostly by force. According to members of the movement, Nasrallah seems to be very worried, stating that it should be stopped at any cost while trying to minimize them getting published in the media. Hezbollah is nearing an explosion. Nasrallah is worried that this will affect his long-term aspirations. I thought this was interesting because very rarely do we kind of look inside Hezbollah or look inside so the kind of the divisions, and it goes any large organizations has divisions with it, and people who want to go different ways. I wanted to get your guys' take on this.
Well, Scott, before we do it, it looks like
Yes.
Joe's got to go.
All right, Joe, you gotta.
Yeah, I got to go as
We'll see ya.
Stan just mentioned. I need to hit the Shield front desk, and then I got to head on up to Kalispell for something. So I will see you tomorrow. I may
Looking
have
forward
arranged
to it.
somewhat of a surprise, although I don't know if the other half of it is leaving it as a surprise, but whatever. And I will see you tomorrow.
All right, you take care.
All right, man. See you.
All righty then.
So we were to get back into it. We were we trying to lay up predictions as to how this was going to go?
Yeah, so I mean, I just wanted to get your guys' take. Ron, you've spent a lot of time over there. I mean, kind of Hezbollah is one of those dark organizations that we don't often get a look into. What's your kind of take on this? Nasrallah might be a little worried about his position.
Well, yeah, I mean, you beard the lion, you're going to pay the consequence. Everybody warns Israel that not to expect the same kind of Hezbollah they faced when they last did the incursion into Lebanon. And I think the Israelis are really well aware of that. The Israelis, are quite adaptive and have a great tactical intelligence on that area.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? They they may just like, hey, Iran, did you really supply that precision guided missile that took out the soccer playing kids? Well, here we go. We're going to return the favor. And it's just, I mean, it's just a mess. And this crap coming from Western power elites about limiting casualties and don't telegraph and hold back your punches and that sort of thing. Like no, overwhelming force, eradicate Hezbollah as a viable fighting force. It's the only way. Otherwise, it's a persisting problem.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that Israel has the ability to kind of, I don't know, pull strings within organizations because they have, it's kind of like you were alluding to, that they have a lot more visibility on what that, organization looks like.
Right. But I think Israel's going to, just play punch, counter punch, tit for tat right now until they finish their Gaza operation, or at least put Gaza where they can handle it with the minimum of force. But, because the Israeli public, I don't care who's the prime minister, that, October 7th was a terrible shock for Israel, and the people don't want to have to go through that again, if they allow Hamas to remain in Gaza as any sort of power broker or in charge organization. And they're realizing the same with Hezbollah in Lebanon. So it's, I mean, Israel really is surrounded by enemies, and Iran, because this administration eliminated the sanctions and sent all the money to these guys. Hell, Iran's in tall cotton, and they're supplying all their buds, and the Houthis, who are also launching attacks against Israel. I mean, you think it's the frontline states? It's not. It's God, I'm surprised. I'm surprised Indonesia hasn't launched a rocket at Israel or something like that.
No, there we go. That's all we need. There you go.
Well, I mean, if we're going to do a Muslim versus the state of Israel conflict, and what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I don't think Indonesia has.
I'm just saying you're going to will it into existence.
No, my will is not strong.
Yeah. All right. So I thought I don't know. I just thought this was interesting. It's a point of view that I don't really think about too much. Like I know there is and another point of view is that whole just the Lebanon society and what's their take on all this, because if you're just a regular Lebanese person not involved directly with Hezbollah or something like that, you're kind of caught in the middle. Because Hezbollah has got all the ass in Lebanon,
right? I mean, there are no more Christian Druze, power brokers like there were in the '80s in Lebanon,
right.
and or whatever the other factions were called. I can't remember, but Lebanon is another failed state. It just has the veneer of sophistication because Beirut is the Paris of the Middle East. Ooh.
Well, and the U.S. gives them Bradleys and things like that, and we're gonna give them net training and all this kind of stuff.
What's crazy to me is that we're not able to find any local government that is sick of having Hezbollah countermand them at every stage. Whenever they tell them to do something, they literally just do the opposite. Who's willing to work with the Israelis in order to eliminate? It seems like those forces together could essentially just mop up, but they won't, because that would be allying with the Jews.
Yeah,
exactly right. All right, let's move on to our next one here. This is another one of our OSINT. Just in time for all this hubbub, Saudi Al Hadith channel reports 2 Hezbollah members were eliminated in airstrikes in southern Lebanon this morning. Hezbollah graphics coming soon. I'm expecting a response from Hezbollah today. I thought that was, it's very timely. And there was also some other stuff released that showed that essentially, here we go. Watcher, if you just hit this guy's channel and then go down his feed, he's got some interesting stuff there. So here's the third this vehicle, the third Hezbollah vehicle targeted today. So I mean, they're dropping like flies, and Israel's not really giving them.
And Israel reported almost as soon as this happened, like within 2 hours of this happening, they said, we have the communications that approved the strike. We know the commander that approved the strike. We know the pilot, or we know not the pilots, but we know we know where it was launched from. We know the crews who launched it, and we're going to go after all of them.
And further on down, there is imagery of Netanyahu meeting with the Druze, leaders and religious leaders from that area, basically, telling them that we're not gonna stand for this. So, I think that it's essentially we're on the 2 minutes to midnight portion of this war. And it's good.
Does this tie in and launch a broader war? I think that's the largest question. Look, I think the question everybody in here is dancing around, and the question that needs to be answered is, does Iran get involved?
Well, potentially, yes. But they will most likely continue to strike through proxies versus directly. That way they're able to. Why would they do that?
Because adding their force at the same time is what would make the difference, rather than pussyfooting around and letting each of their forces that they build up over time get destroyed sequentially.
I will let Ron answer that question.
All right.
He may not agree with me, but
I gotta go. Well, I don't know if Iran will get directly involved. I think Iran, they're like how do I put? They're like the bully who looks all big and tough, and will have other people do his dirty work. But when it comes time to actually get involved, directly, I think the Iran-Iraq war seriously scarred the leadership of the Iranian military. They want to stay asymmetric as much as possible, and they realize that if they get in any sort of direct shooting match with Israel, they're going to come out the losers, despite their larger size and larger population and that sort of thing. So I think Israel just needs to do a couple good airstrikes or missile strikes, and Iran would tone it down for a while. But who knows?
Yeah.
Iran's been a pain in our ass since the Shah was overthrown. So
yeah. Ron, you got to take off.
I do. I gotta go.
Right.
I don't have to go to Kalispell or anything like that, but I do have some more chores to do. So I gotta run, guys. It's been
All
a
right. We
slice.
appreciate your point of view. Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Safe travels.
Yeah. Thank you. So this last one kind of gets to the point that we mentioned earlier. Erdogan threatens Israel. Are you not ready for it, or did you have something else?
I did have something else. That's what I
All
was
right,
trying
go
to
ahead.
That
Go
up
ahead.
is just and this is the airport in Beirut currently, which appears to be overwhelmed with people rushing
Trying
to
to
flee
get the
the
hell
country.
out of there. Yeah. You know it's bad when they just start leaving their cars in the departure lanes. You just abandon your car and you get on the plane and leave.
Yeah. So here you go. Sorry about that.
No problem. So this is Jerusalem Post. Erdogan threatens Israel like we entered Karbaka and Libya. We will do the same to Israel. Good luck with that. Erdogan's threats come amid a dramatic flare-up in the 9-month cross-border war between IDF and Hezbollah. Watcher?
Oh, this isn't the Karabakh where you actually had a serious struggle against a force that was significantly smaller than you. I think Israel would whip the shit out of them. Am I wrong?
Turkey is very good about whooping up on people that they absolutely outclass, whether it's the Armenians in the Karabakh or whether it's the PKK in northern Syria, or whether it's the LNR in Libya. All of those forces, which is interesting because you've got Turkey versus like the UAE in Libya. So there's some interesting stuff there.
And I guess what I'll say before we get too deep into this is small dogs that yap too much should be cautious because they inevitably get eaten by something much larger.
Well, and Erdogan's really struggling with the economy in Turkey. I mean, it's actually gone downhill pretty. It went the price of the lira, Turkish lira, went down pretty significantly in the last couple months that I was there, and since then it's gone down even more. Erdogan's threats come amid a dramatic flare-up in a 9 cross-border war with IDF and Hezbollah. A Hezbollah-launched Iranian rocket landed in the Druze village of. Yeah, so it was probably most likely some sort of a precision rocket, but not a. It could very well.
You know what,
have been
Scott? This is a good question. I don't know if we were able to answer this or not, but do we have missiles publicly in Turkey?
I don't believe we have nukes in Turkey, but we do have a U.S. base, and
we got THAAD, right? Probably.
I don't know the answer to that. Cool Bunny Slim, member for 27 months. Thank you very much. Sorry to keep missing the council who have to leave. Thanks for the month and safe travels for those travel. Yeah, looking forward to my trip. I was in the States last summer, and I'm coming back for a week, so it should be a lot of fun. I'll be in Montana for the whole time, so if you want to come and hang out, we'll be there.
So it's hilarious. Turkey wants to be taken as a member of Europe and wants to present themselves as a member of Europe right up until it comes time to do stuff that members of Europe do.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just they want to try and set themselves apart from the Middle East, and yet every time it's something that's specific Arabic politics, they jump right into the middle of it as far deep into.
Well, they are part of the Ummah, right? And so that kind of, and Erdogan is absolutely Islamist. He does not believe in the old school secularist,
so
Kemalist type stuff. And
Islamist or part of Europe, pick one.
I agree with you. I mean, I lived in Izmir, right? And Izmir is essentially historically a Greek city, called, Smyrna, right? And, to the extent that it was once Greek, it was very much part of Europe, right? I mean, it is in Asia technically, but the culture that it was Roman for many years, and then essentially Roman Greek, and then Greek, and then It wasn't until about 100 years ago that they basically drove all of the Greeks out of that part of, and so the Turks took that over, but they also took over the identity. So like I told somebody like in the first week I was there, I was like, oh yeah, it kind of reminds me of some of the Middle Eastern towns, but it's a mix of Europe and Middle East. No, we are Europe. We are European. I was like, oh okay, yeah. Back down, boy.
So, before we get too far in, this might be unpopular with some other council members, but Selrun says, "I say we retake Constantinople." I used to agree with you, but in the recent past, because of specific actions, I disagree entirely. Now, I think that what we do is we order the forced evacuation of Constantinople, and then we re-examine Operation Plowshare in order to widen the Bosphorus gap. There, it would be beneficial to the entire world.
I don't know about that. I mean, here's the thing: Turkey historically, especially in the last 100 years, has been not that terrible. I mean, kind of, especially since the 40s and whatnot. They threw off their whole Ottoman thing.
You mean since the genocides?
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. The Kemalists,
directly after the multiple genocides. Okay, when they were denying them.
I'm
sorry. I've never liked Turkey. I don't think Turkey is a good country. I don't think they're good people. I don't know why we've allied with them. They've never actually been our ally.
Watcher, it's not easy for me to say that I think we should nuke the people that I knew there, because the people I knew there were not crazy people.
Nuke the people.
I know, but you
order a forced evacuation.
But see, I don't even believe in that. They own it; it's theirs, right?
Nor do I actually believe in it myself. Obviously, I am joking.
I know, but but that's not helpful, right? I mean, we're having a serious conversation about Turkey here. We're not. So anyway, let me continue. Let me
working at Israel about launching an invasion. We are having a serious conversation.
Let me continue reading the story about how they are barking at Israel, and we can discuss it. Erdogan's threats come amid a dramatic flare-up. Blah, blah, blah. We already read this part. Hezbollah launched an Iranian rocket attack, killing Druze village, on Saturday. Turkey responds. The Turkish leader spoke to the international community, scrambling to avert a larger Israeli-Lebanese war or a regional one. Turkey, however, is a member of NATO, and as such, it's unlikely that they would intervene militarily, which is exactly correct. I think he's blustering, and he doesn't have the ass right now, his economy, to do anything about it. Tensions have been high in Ankara and Jerusalem since Hamas led the invasion of southern Israel on October 7th. Turkey is strongly allied with the Palestinians and viewed itself, but they are not taking any Palestinian refugees, oddly enough. Yeah, it was just the 50th anniversary of the Turkish. Yeah, that was just the other day.
Actually, it would be really fun to watch Turkey step out on some military adventurism, and then all their neighbors who utterly despise them team up to go.
I am not saying that Turkey as a country is a good country. I lived there for 9 months. I know. I mean, most of the people were great that I talked to, but then you dig a little deeper, and they either they absolutely hate Erdogan and the direction that Turkey's going in, or they think, yes, Turkey should be strong. We have this kind of like a national destiny type kind of, which is much more tied to the nationalism piece. And we all know how nationalism is. You make all kinds of excuses for the terrible actions of your country and for the sake of nationalism, and Turkey does exactly that too. So.
All I'm saying is if the street wasn't so small, we wouldn't all fight over it.
I don't know anybody fighting over it. I don't think there's anything on the other side of the street worth getting to, honestly.
Yeah, not anymore.
Honestly. I mean, not since the Roman times.
Well, no, it's the height of the Russian Empire. There might have been something worth it up there. Their only port. That's
But see, I contend that Russia isn't strong now, and they won't be strong anytime in the near future. The only thing Russia have is oil and nukes. That's it.
Yeah, that's why I said not anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Turkish labor rebuilt Germany after World War II. Facts. The Gastarbeiter, and
Turkish,
true.
and Polish. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is anytime you're able to take somebody and deal with them as an individual, it's fine. You're able to find those common connections, right? But ultimately, hold on a second, I'm going to address someone's thing here. But there are good Turks, just like there are good Muslims. But most of them, all it takes is boast, right? And so the interesting thing is that if you can get them out of their headspace of the tribal aspects of their identity, then yeah, they seem great. But as soon as they revert back to these tribal identities, it's not even worth talking to people anymore, because we get so kind of closed in, right? I think there are only in the West, and only in countries that embrace the Enlightenment are you able to find people who are able to kind of break out of these. And that's the thing that's most concerning to me, is that America in the last 30 years has become way more tribal than we were previously, at least from my experience. I mean, I could be wrong
by design. It was. But
I think you're right, right? And I think that a lot of that has come from the rise of social media. So, all right, guys, that's about all we have for today. We're at it right at 2 hours, 1 minute. Pete, what's your kind of take going into the week here? Anything you're looking at? Any indications or warnings?
Sorry, my headphones died. Sorry, what were you saying?
Indications and warnings going into the week.
Oh, going into the week. Obviously the Venezuela situation is going to be kind of out there. You're going to see that I think you're going to start to see some cracks within, and the day after regrets, you could say. With falling directly in line behind Kamala. And I think that I think that there is a huge potential for more escalation in southern Lebanon by Israel.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And this whole desire to dump Vance is totally artificial.
Yeah, exactly right. Almost all of the things that occurred that made Kamala look anywhere near interesting last week were entirely organizations. And it's no popularity. The real polls show almost like a 60-40 kind of split between the two. So.
Yeah, and these people who say, "Oh, he's the worst pick ever," are the same people who sat around and are we on Rumble?
We are on Rumble and on YouTube.
Okay, well, they're the ones who sat around and circled when they chose Palin.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Watcher.
Yeah, just to echo that, I think you're already watching her have the shortest media honeymoon period in history, which should say something about the palatability of the candidate. I think that this was always the plan. They stated it before they started, that they always needed a way to get both of them out of the way. So they need to give her enough space to fumble and be unlikable. I think that what you should be looking for, and because I've started to see this, is a lot of even the left questioning the weird segregationist tactics that Kamala is using to try and fundraise. And a lot of this other shit. I think that in a way that we may not have realized, the spell for a lot of things, as I mentioned on the 13th, was broken on the 13th. I think that a lot of the you can no longer question thing is done with, because they tried to kill a man. I think Venezuela is going to be interesting. I think that, call me optimistic. I think that with a border so porous and with a military so fundamentally incompetent, and with so many of their diaspora having lived in the United States and gained a taste for freedom and free access to firearms for so long, I think there is a distinct possibility that more of them are armed or can become easily armed. than than you might suspect up front. And so I am hopeful in that. Unfortunately, it sucks to be hopeful that blood might be shed in the streets, but I am hopeful that more than one side's blood might be shed in the streets.
Yeah.
But that's about as far as my hope can go in this situation.
My prediction going into the week is that I'm going to have a long flight tomorrow, and I will be tired when I get there, and hopefully I will figure out the whole.
Well, I'm debating it now whether I should come up there and because you're going to be jet lagged all to hell, whether I should come up there and run the show from there, or whether I should stay down here, run the show from here, and then leave once I finish the show.
Are you talking about on Wednesday? So yeah, we will do it. We will do it
up there Tuesday night.
We will do a show on Wednesday. I just don't know exactly what time it'll be. It'll probably be later in the morning than we normally do. So we normally go at what, 9 Eastern, right? Is when we go.
No, we know. 9 Eastern. Yes, I
thought 9 Eastern. Yeah, 9:15-ish Eastern, right? Is what we normally do. So it may be more along the lines of 11
10?
or maybe even noon Eastern, because it's, you remember, we're 2 hours earlier in you know, and I gotta
I know.
who knows when I wake up, that because if I spend most of the night up on
well, then
Thursday,
I might just come up tomorrow then. Yeah, I might just come up tomorrow then, and then we'll meet you there tomorrow night.
Okay.
Because if the show is going to be later in the day, that puts my plans easier. Anyhow, for those of you who are going to show up, I'm excited to meet you. We are going to have our own little kind of private camp area, and so much as the wife lets me, I do plan on running one shots for any nerds who want to come play. So
you're going to do what?
We're going to do one shot cyberpunk games, like the one we did here on the show, because it only takes a little while to run.
All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for everybody. We had a great council today. So if you came in late, definitely go back and watch from the beginning. It was a great show. Thank you to Pete and Watcher who stayed to the end. I got that flight tomorrow, so it should be a lot of fun. And so until then, next time I will be talking to you from Montana. Until then, everybody stay safe.